This is the Graceful Atheist Podcast.
Welcome to the Graceful Atheist Podcast. My name is David, and I am trying to be the Graceful Atheist. As usual, please rate and review the podcast on the Apple Podcast Store, and rate the podcast on Spotify. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you are listening. I'll continue to make plugs about our private Facebook group, Deconversion Anonymous, at facebook.com/groups/deconversion. The community that we are trying to build there is thriving, and I would very much like for you to be a part of it. Come and join us. Special thanks to Mike T for editing today's podcast. On to today's show. My guest today is the Ranting Atheist. Don't let the moniker scare you. He's a really nice guy. The Ranting Atheist, or as I may call him, TRA, is in Nigeria, and he explains that Nigeria is a highly religious country that is split in two between the Muslims in the north and the Christians in the south. It's interesting to hear TRA talk about the last thing you can be there is an atheist. So he is experiencing true persecution in that he has to remain anonymous. TRA had heard CG's episode. CG is from Nigeria, living in the United States. That was about a year ago, so go check that episode out as well. And he was so excited to hear about other atheists within Nigeria that he started his own podcast, The Ranting Atheist, and he was very excited to be on this podcast. TRA is an amazing person and has a great sense of humor. You're going to hear a lot of humility and learn some things about what it's like to be an atheist in Nigeria. Here is the Ranting Atheist to tell his story. Ranting Atheist, welcome to the Graceful Atheist Podcast.
At last, thank you very much. It is it's really unreal to be here. I remember when I listened to the first episode. That was it in May? Actually, I was doing I was doing a search on Google, searching Nigerian atheists,
Yeah.
and immediately the episode you did with CG,
Yes.
that was the episode, and his story was kind of parallel to mine because he also went to the school I went to. I was like, no, I have to find this guy. I have to find him. So
Yes.
your podcast connected me to him. I really appreciate that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and CG is an amazing person. So I think
Yeah.
we'll state the obvious here. You're in Nigeria, and that's
Yes.
why you were interested in that. And CG is from Nigeria. So
Yeah.
let's start with that. We're going to get to your story, but really quickly, like from your understanding, how do you think things are different as far as Christianity and religion in Nigeria versus the United States?
Yeah. All right. So in Nigeria, there's no left and right wing. We are drowning in the right. Let me just
Okay.
put it that way.
Okay.
There's there's no secular side fighting because there's no secular side fighting for separation of church and state and all that.
Yeah.
Because Nigeria is divided almost equally. There's Christianity in the south, then there's Islam in the north.
Okay.
So I have lived in the south all my life. I've never been to the north, like never ever. I've only been to even 3 other states in the south. That's how little my movement is, or maybe for safety, or just I hate traveling on the road, so I
Sure.
just like to stay on one place.
So is it unsafe for a Christian to go north and a Muslim to come south?
Is even safer for Muslims to live here in the south than Christians in the north of recent.
Okay.
Before it wasn't like that. There was peace and harmony. Everyone lived together, no fighting. But in the last 5 years, this current we call it regime, although it came in with democracy, but it acts like a regime.
Okay.
It has been very unsafe for non-Muslims in the north,
Okay.
basically. So, in fact, you as a Christian, you're not safe 100%. Let alone if you dare to say you're an atheist.
Right.
So that's suicide, basically.
Yeah. And that is the reason why we're using the pseudonym here, is to protect your identity as well. So let's start with your story then. What was it like for you growing up? What was the faith tradition that your family had? And then, was that something real to you when you were growing up?
Yes, I grew up. Was raised Pentecostal.
Okay.
That's Pentecostal. The I don't know whether maybe the largest or second largest. Who knows? Redeemed Christian Church of God.
Okay.
That's the church I knew all my life. From we always Jesus is Lord. My parents did not let me breathe. As pastors, first of all, I had to let me state that my parents are pastors, so you should understand.
Okay.
It's a disgrace, if your child does not show sign that God is in their life,
Yeah.
so they didn't let up. Um, but funny enough, I went to all my schools. All the schools I went to were Christian schools, so they did not. That's primary, secondary, university. They did not want me to be derailed,
Yes.
which is quite ironic saying this now. So, and we go to church every Sunday. They go to church like at least 3 times a week, but the midweek services we how do I put it now, they kind of exempted us because of school. It will kind of be very stressful for us and for them if we follow them to church, only to have to wake up early the next day to go to school. So that was the kind of maybe I kind of escaped that extra indoctrination. So it was Sunday. Then sometimes we go for video. There's the times we follow them in the midweek, but Jesus was everywhere. We love the Lord. I believed it because it's all I ever knew. Like they told me, and why would I doubt them? They have taken care of me, So it's natural to believe your parents. Whatever they believe is natural.
Right.
So even when it's holiday, summertime, VBS. I didn't even know VBS was something a global concept that all I
Oh,
was when I
really?
listened to. Yeah, we used to go over. Yeah, Vacation Bible School. The particular parish we had, there was a particular time. I think I was around between I was 7 and 9 years old. It was very interesting listening to. That's why I say a lot of stories. It was when I was listening to CGs. I remember we used to listen to the Donut Man, Salty,
Yeah.
yeah, all those Christian music, it was just reinforcing the whole thing. Even right up to my graduation, I still believed in God, even though my faith had waned then, not because I didn't believe in God, but because I got a bad taste in my mouth from my experience in the school. But I still believed in there was a God until my graduation from university.
Yeah. I think CG was talking about like all those cartoons that there was a lot of Western media that influences Nigerian Christians.
Yes, we're bombarded with that. And he being a pastor, and he sometimes, due to his own work, he was not a full time pastor. So he had some opportunity to travel to the US, to the UK. So he was able to bring some material. We're watching it on videotape. That's
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
no streaming then. So that's how way back it happened. So those were the content we consumed. I remember one particular. My dad has a particular reaction to Harry Potter. Whenever I watching
Yeah.
when I'm watching Harry Potter, change the channel, change the channel, change the channel. Why are you watching witches and wizards? I'm like, man, this is all CGI, man. why you why you so like But the ironic part is when we are now watching Nigerian media, Nollywood, they show a lot of witchcraft
Okay.
and they call it juju voodoo, and they are comfortable with it. I'm
Interesting.
not like, well, why? There's no way to argue because as Nigerian parents, I won't lie, we got spanked. And spanking, I'm trying to put it lightly. That's censoring. I just actually cane on my buttocks. My brothers, my immediate junior brother, we faced it the most. The My youngest brother was even the most fortunate. That was they were kind of getting retired from that life when he came
Okay.
along.
Yes.
So he got just a little of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So growing up, the reinforcement was just even in Nigeria, just everybody just believes in God.
Right.
God is everything we do, everything we breathe, but our actions don't speak that's God. Because people say Jesus loves you. You don't see the way, like, I for one, what I notice is that people, there's a slang we call them spirikoko. They are like people that are very serious about God, people that like their spirituality is very strong.
Got it.
They are one of the most those evil people I know.
Mm.
They are terrible human beings. That's part of the experiences I had when I was in university.
So, for the most part, growing up all the way through university, you had at
Yeah.
least a faith in the existence of God.
Yeah.
And then what started to eat into that?
Yeah. Now to start that story, I will have to say part of what started eating it right inside university.
Okay.
So yeah, so coming into the university, Covenant University, any Nigerian that listens to this will know the school for its notorious rules. Like it was a serious. It's almost like the Nazi police. They had policing us, purity culture, everything. So what I just said about people that are serious, very spiritual people, they are very serious with God. I started why I started disliking such people is that they are the ones that are likely to report students. You know, we are teenagers, youthful exuberance. We always want to experiment.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to bring mobile phones, all those different. We're not allowed to interact with females after a particular time, and to a overt sexual gesture, all that. So those are the things those kind of people will go and report to. There was what they call revo that time. They've disbanded them down, but like student police,
Okay.
and they report to them. They put students in trouble, and the students get suspended, expelled, and their lives become miserable because a lot of people. Government university is very expensive for the average Nigerian home.
Yeah.
So it's a great sacrifice when you know your parents paid that to send you there.
Right.
And my parents are living in kind of middle class, and it was still quite a pain. I could see it, the struggle. Now seeing them put people in trouble to get expelled and all the money down the drain. So I started developing a disdain, and I purposefully decided I do not want to be a spiritual person. I did not want to be serious with God because if being serious with God will make me that kind of person that will destroy someone's studentship, I don't want anything with that. But I
Interesting.
still believed in God. God was still real. God was still real. So that was the way I lived throughout my time in university. And even the first time I missed church on purpose was right there in that school.
Okay. Yeah.
It was my second year. I spent 6 years there. So my second year, like okay, that's my third year, which was second year official, but third year. It was a Sunday. I was so tired. I'd played the game overnight or watch movies. I don't remember what exactly I did, but it was just having little fun. But I was too tired to go for 7 a.m. service. And I decided to hide. And I slept peacefully. And when everybody came back, I woke up, looked around. Wow, I did not die. Wow, I
Yes.
did not die.
Yes.
This is the life. This is cool, man. So I can really do this. So from that day onward, I started switching it up. So okay, I'll go for 3 weeks, missed a week, 2 weeks, missed a week. By the time I got to my third, fourth, final year, I gave up. I stopped coming
Okay.
because Covenant University Chapel is a trap. Meaning, now the way there's a dress code. Yeah, as a man, as a guy, you wear we dress up corporate.
Okay.
So you wear your shirts, your trouser, shoes, tie. Now your tie must be strangling your neck. Nigeria is a hot country, so you can imagine we when dressing up like that. Where you are, it's kind of fit because the weather is cold and you can put jacket. But some people even go as far as putting on a jacket, which is crazy. I'm like, sorry, I'm like the tie is enough. So you can get into trouble for as little as not wearing your tie properly, and they take you to your room and they start doing a search for possible contrabands so that they can put you in trouble. Or sometimes they will take you to the health center and do a urine test, so hopefully to find alcohol or some drugs in your system so that they can. I don't understand. It's almost like they were paying them to expel students from me. The way I saw it, it's really crazy. So those are the things that made me to be like, what the hell is going on here? Even
Yeah.
my own parents thought they were crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
when I knew that this is too much.
Well, I think you just said this, but I think CG mentioned that they tend to keep the money then if they expel you as a student.
Yes,
That money's gone then, right?
gone. It's gone with the wind.
So interesting.
It's
Yeah, there might be some incentive there to
to
minimize. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
Yes. So I'm creating space for new students,
right.
which is possible. So after all that, going through the motion, I narrowly escaped in my final year after some failures, all that. So that was 2011.
Okay.
That's when I left. Yeah, I believed in God, and for some, I kind of wanted to get closer to God. I feel that, like my dad has always been encouraging me that you need to be closer to God. You need to be closer to God because he always tells me, okay, now you wake up in the morning, you don't pray. I found it hectic to pray in the morning. Like, dude, I
Yeah.
need to go ease myself or something. Like, just move, get going with the day, one hand. Even back in school too. I used to see my some people in my room and I'm like, man, this is stressful.
Yeah.
So I tried it for a while. It didn't work. But I kept going to church, trying to develop a relationship. It was basically just coasting along the line. Now there was an event I forgot to mention that happened to my parents. My parents had been very serious in the church, but church politics came for them.
Okay.
Yeah, so he has been rising in rank, according to his performance. In 2009, he was not supposed to rise to a certain rank. It's more like a state regional pastor kind of stuff. And for some reason, he was demoted. Now,
Okay.
what made this demotion very cynical was on the organogram of the Redeemed Church, it is a promotion, but you are promoted to a pastor without a parish. And when you have no parish, you are powerless. You have nothing to offer the ministry, and so that's where it was. It was in limbo, and they now went to the church leadership. Were asking like why, because like this whole experience was just what maybe to start suspecting the church. Like the church, there's no justice in the church. That particular experience with them, looking at them from the side. So they were going up and down. The general overseer, his wife, Folu Adeboye, they was going to their house trying to plead their case, only to find out that they found out that somebody had gone to report him wrongfully
Okay.
for whatever reason. And in that church, first to report is always that's the report they take. If you are the first to report, is your own case, and especially if you are someone who is even close to the people in the leadership, they take it as the word. So that was what they've been using to punish him for all these years.
Wow.
And the next thing I noticed, their health started deteriorating. My dad, that's not someone that usually fell sick. He started wearing neck braces,
Oh,
feeling some pain in his spine. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
right.
How, from where to where? Few years later, my every Sunday, for some inexplicable reason, my mom takes out aggression on us because every Sunday reminds them of the pseudo promotion where there's no church they are leading. We just go to some random regime around the area. So it's always wake up, move fast. Me and my brothers, we just roll eyes, we understand, but we're like, oh, here we go again. But it is what it is. And also, years down the line, my mom too had a mini stroke. That was even when I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
And that
Okay.
was close, I think it's around her 50th birthday. I was just like, come on, what is this church doing to us? But I just kept going because that's all I knew. I did not know that there's a possibility of saying I'm not doing again. I'm not interested in religion. Because I thought Islam was wrong, every other religion was wrong, Christianity was right, and my own kind of Christianity was the right one.
Yeah.
That's the Pentecostal I was raised in, even though I was not serious.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. I've seen that a lot too, where people who are kind of just nominally a
Yeah,
Christian, but their version of Christianity is still the right one. Yeah.
exactly. That's where I was.
Yeah.
So that was 2014 when the mini stroke happened, and I kept on. I started working. I started earning my own money, but I'm still living with them partially. So over the years, I joined as I was just learning, going through my job, back and forth. The routine of 9 to 5, back and forth. I started. I now started I joined the network marketing business. So what I done, no, that is my I had to be network marketing business now because there's no Zoom now, so it's always in person meetings.
Yeah.
And one thing I now noticed that on Sundays, those were the best times to schedule meetings.
Okay.
But church was in the way.
Right. Right.
Church was spoiling the business.
Yeah.
So that was around 2016 ish. That's when that's like church. This church is getting in the way, but I was finding ways to manage. So after a few months on seeing that church was in the way, I started testing. Okay, I won't go to church this week. Let me schedule my, and everything went smoothly. I was able to do everything. I'm not like this church. Why is church in the way of this my whole business? But I was still trying to. I was just what do you call it? I was switching off and on,
Right.
and I used to go with my youngest brother to church. So because the days I don't go to church, that because I'll feel guilty for making him miss church. I'll say
Yes.
just go to church.
Yes.
And on the flip side, our parents too, there are days they don't go to church. They don't just feel like going to church, and they chase us out of the house, not to feel guilty themselves, which is funny.
Yeah.
So I kept doing that for a year or so. It now got to a point where Nigeria had this recession. Things were just not working. I was just sitting down thinking, like, okay, we are majority Christian in the south, and they are majority Muslim in the north. If one of us is worshiping the correct God, this one side supposed to at least see something good. But we are everything is messed up both in the north and the south. Like all the gods we are worshiping, nothing is working. Which way? That's where my questioning kind of started. And I didn't realize I was questioning, but that was just me questioning, me thinking like, what is really going on? So in the process of something like that, I just said, okay, let me stop. I stopped going to church. That was around, I made that decision around 2018. I stopped going to church. I will leave home. They think I'm going to church,
Yeah.
but I will just go somewhere to go and relax, go to an eatery, or go to a friend's place, or go to my place of work and just learn, use the internet there to learn one, because internet here in Nigeria is very expensive and terrible.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that period of time staying away from church, the indoctrination started wearing off.
Okay.
So my mind began to open. I began to, question things. And one day, a security man in my office, I can't remember how we started discussion, but I remember he was saying women are not supposed to be leaders in church.
Ah.
I was like, I was like, wait, how? I was like, look at Mommy Gio, all the Gio's wives. My mother too is a pastor now. So what are you saying? He said, let me show you the Bible scripture.
Hmm.
He now opened First Timothy 2:8, all those where Paul say, I don't permit a woman to child. Not like what?
Yeah.
I started trying to rationalize, but I'm like, these are sexist words. Like,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh, like the Bible is sexist. How? Like, is there something more to it? But like, okay. That day just went by, but that seed had been planted.
Like I find this really fascinating. My family comes from kind of matriarchal family, very, very strong women in my
Yeah.
family, and as they became stronger Christians, I sasaw them struggle with,
Hmm.
well, wait a minute, the Bible says this, but that doesn't quite make sense. And my wife, who's still a believer, very strong woman, right? Like, and I watch her struggle with those passages, like what to do with
Yeah.
that, right? And it is so much easier to just recognize that they are incorrect.
And the irony is the backbone of the church are the women. If women
Yes,
walk away from the church will crumble in a heartbeat.
absolutely.
Yeah. So after that day of that security encounter, I also remember I usually have discussion with one of my colleagues who usually tease me in a way, say, yeah, you're talking like a free thinker. You're talking like a free thing. Like
Okay.
I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, the word doesn't sound bad. I'm thinking freely. So what's wrong in that? Because one of the days I particularly remember was we started discussing about Area 51.
Okay.
I was like, in movies it's always portrayed like the government, U.S. government is hiding aliens in those places. I'm like, okay, it might not be that because Hollywood is a PR machine for the U.S. government,
Mm,
so they can be making the world think it's that they might be doing something. But even if it might actually be aliens, if for any reason extraterrestrial life is discovered,
yeah.
religion is false.
That's
That's
yeah.
what I told him.
Interesting point. Yeah. Yeah.
I told him, if for any reason extraterrestrial life is discovered, religion is false. They're like, no, no, guy, you are going too far. Please calm down with your free thinking nonsense. Calm down, calm down. That was it.
Yes.
So those and that day I sat out too. I thought to myself, like, it's true. That it was just a spontaneous thought, but I kind of reminisced on it. I was like, but it's true because God created was the whole Bible was centered around human beings and no mention of extraterrestrial lives. So why are we why are we stressing ourselves when we find out extraterrestrials exist? So who is deceiving who? All religions are false. So that was in that corner. So as usual, I don't go to church, coasting along. I started watching some Christian YouTubers, different different videos here and there where they usually say this pastor is a heretic,
Yes.
criticizing pastors here and there,
Yeah.
and in between there's a man here, maybe I don't know to call him a pastor, but he created a movement. He calls it the Free Nation movement. His name is Daddy Freeze. He created this controversy on tithing
Uh
because Nigerian pastors love their tithe. That is the lifeblood.
huh.
Without
Yes.
tithing, the business will crumble. So he was bringing out scriptures then on saying tithing is not biblical. Look at this one, breaking it down, the controversy and all that. But I, for one, I had a problem with tithing because it seems very large. 10%. My salary was small then. I was earning 70,000 naira, which was like $150 then. 10%, I'm like, mm-mm. My parents would ask me, did you give your tithe? Yes. I lied my ass off. I did not even
Yeah.
care.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, I didn't care.
Yeah.
And my junior brother, he seemed kind of a little bit more serious than me, but he's still a little nominal, but he kind of took the things of God serious. And he told me with full confidence that he doesn't believe in that tithing thing, even before the whole freeze debacle. I
Right.
was like, oh, you too? I felt a little more confident. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
So that was how the whole 2018, 2019 went, watching all those videos, having my Christianity questioned here, but it wasn't like, because I was just exploring different perspective of other Christians. Then in between, there was this, I can't remember the name, but he was just mentioning things to avoid. And in that video, the logo of this YouTube channel, YouTuber, Dark Matter 2525,
Okay.
this angel. So I just remember I just remember that he spoke about it, but I didn't really take it serious until 2020. So that was a seed planted for 2020.
Okay.
So 2018, 2019, just coasting along. So 2020 started, and you know, new year. Now 2019, December 31st, we usually don't go to a church to do crossover service. That's the day Nigerians do crossover service.
Okay.
Even you see all the Indian hemp smokers, they go to the church, strippers, everybody believes to come to church on that 31st. Synchronized, everybody believes, start the year with God, better. This year is my year. So, Pastor Iyadeboye, he usually draws prophecies
Okay.
just after midnight strikes when everybody has greeted Happy New Year. But before then, we'll pray 30 minutes, 11:30 to 12. We'll pray into the new year. So we started dropping prophecies. This will happen. That will happen. This will happen. Then you say this one is for the public.
Yeah.
Then this one is for your pastors. Then the rest he will keep to himself. So I remember that particular year prophecy. And he did not mention anything remotely relating to COVID.
Right.
So I held on to it, but it didn't really I didn't think I would need to refer back to that day. So we started hearing, China, Wuhan, the whole story of the particular doctor that tried to spread the word that was arrested, only for him to die in February. Then everybody knew that, oh, this thing is real. Then Nigeria, we had our first case. Panic started. We don't know. We don't understand the virus, and we are a very careless people. Our health system is dead.
Okay.
So everybody was afraid that if they catch COVID, they can die because we had Ebola scare back in 2014. So the same Pastor Adeboye came online and dropped a video saying, if that this pandemic is a chance for God to reveal those who are really serving Him, who are genuinely serving Him.
Wow.
I was not like, this was someone I respected, but he's saying total nonsense. Like, are you telling me that if someone catches this virus, they're not serving you? Someone dies, they're not serving God. What's kind of nonsense it is. But I still ignored and said, okay, it can be a flash in the pan. Who knows? I moved on. This same man in March now came. Is it either March or April? I think maybe one March or April. I think I'm not sure
Okay.
exactly. Or towards the end of March, came and now said that God told him about the pandemic. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's listen. He said God told him that the whole world will go on a compulsory holiday. I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. This will not work.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. I will not accept that.
Yeah.
I will not. Because I just saw was I likened it into someone wants to take make a bet on a game, like a Chelsea football club. You said you now the Chelsea won 4-0, and I say, oh, I knew they were going to win. I should have placed a bet. I should have placed a bet. I'm like, if you really knew they were going to win, you'd have placed a bet. If you really knew that was going to happen, what you just said, you'd have said it on the 31st, stroke first of 2020 of January 2020. So I started suspecting that says, okay, this is looking like a fake prophet. That was
Yes.
what my this
Yeah.
is looking like a fake prophet, you know?
Yeah. And just to comment on that as well, for the charismatic and Pentecostal traditions,
Yeah.
it amazes me that, they'll read the scriptures that talk about, stoning a false prophet, and yet
Uh-huh.
they don't do what you just did and think back to what did this person actually say and what actually
Exactly.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just so dumbfounded. And the next event that now started breaking the wall and making me raise my eyebrow the more. There are two pastors in Nigeria that I kind of respect.
Okay.
Pastor Adeboye and Bishop David Oyedepo. Adewe because it's all I knew all my life, and Oyedepo is virtually the one that orchestrated my education, both secondary and university. So I reverence them. They seemed untouchable. So we dare not even talk about God. God was unfathomable to be touched. You understand? They were so Kenneth Copeland. I saw a video online. Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland is a mentor to Bishop David Oyedepo.
Ah, okay.
Oh yeah. So that's where the whole connection started.
Yeah.
He now said, you get your tithe into that church, you get your offering to that church. I don't care whether it's a lockdown, you get into that church. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
people's livelihoods are affected. There's a
Yeah.
pandemic outside, but you don't care whatever happens to them. They should get that tithe and offering to the church. That's all you care about.
Mm.
I was like, whoa. And I remember the little always told us, show me your friends, and I will tell you who you are. He's your mentor.
Mm.
You are a
Yep.
suspect. Immediately, because of Kenneth Copeland's behavior, I started suspecting David Oyedepo. That is the same scammer. Only for me to see another video, the inside edition. There was an inside edition interview where he was accosted at his hangar.
Yeah.
There is woman, yeah, where she was asking him that, do you think people who enter a commercial airline are demons in commercial airlines are is a tube full of demons, you know?
Okay. Right.
So
Right.
I saw the way he was very flustered, very unprepared. Like I'm like, really? As confident I used to show yourself in church. So you are really like this? All right. So that was it. That was April. The whole Nigeria, the whole Lagos, where I was locked down, so we couldn't move. So I started binging on Netflix, YouTube. So in my recommendations, I used to watch this guy, Leon Lush. He's a YouTube commentary. YouTube usually comments on people or
Okay.
happenings on YouTube. So it's the topic of the day. I just saw Kenneth Copeland. Trigger straight. I clicked. What?
Yes. Yeah.
So the seed already been planted against Kenneth Copeland. So I clicked. So immediately started watching. Started making. It usually makes kind of make it a comic. It puts comic relief.
Yeah.
So immediately he showed that video of when he was discussing with Jesse Duplantis, where they were trying to encourage people to donate for their new airline. And I
Okay.
say when you're in a private jet, and you just be so kind, you can easily talk to God. But if you're in a commercial airline, you are there in a tube full of demons. I was like, shit. So this is what I was talking about. I just started laughing. Say, can you imagine? Immediately I was like, no, 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 no. But I was suspicious that okay, maybe this guy is playing games. And I look for the original video
Okay.
and watched it and now confirmed it. That's where my skepticism started growing muscle. So being on YouTube, I also go on Twitter. And I remember on Twitter, I now stumbled on Dark Matter 25 video, but I didn't know it was the one then. So just a
Okay.
video, and that video was it was about, okay, let me say it I stumbled on the video, but I now stumbled on it on YouTube again. And
Okay.
I saw the title. The title of that video was God's God. So the
Okay.
video was basically just it shows the God character with his angel. For some reason, they killed themselves. They now went to a heaven in heaven.
Okay.
Only to now they now went to they now met their own God. Those ones killed. Everybody killed themselves. They now started moving levels up. Like they met Vishnu, met Krishna, met all this. So before you
Yeah.
knew it, it now got to the earth, and they now showed the man sitting under a tree, and it's now that okay, there's a time to drop childish things,
Uh,
and you gods are childish things and all that. So that's where I'm not like. So when I saw this, I'm not like as a Nigerian, this is what we used to say like these Oyinbo people they started again. Like these white people have started with their different funny ideologies. That's the way I came with it. I was like what are these people saying?
yeah.
But the videos looked very enticing. So YouTube recommended another one for me. So I watched another one, and this was where the crack happened.
Okay. Okay.
This was
Yes.
where this was the video that did it. That's
Yeah.
why I am forever grateful to Dark Matter 25. I will say it anywhere. Even to the point when I have money, I subscribe to his Patreon just to appreciate what he did. That video. The title of the video is the most censored Bible chapter in the Bible,
Okay.
which is Genesis chapter 38.
Okay. You're gonna have to refresh
I
my
don't.
memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
Genesis chapter 38. Yeah, it is the story of Judah, his wife, and his sons. Now, Judah, the son of the sons of Jacob, he married his wife. His wife had three sons. Then she died. Now, the first son, that's his name, he was wicked in the sight of God, and God killed him.
Yeah.
Now, was already married, and according to so-called tradition, the brother of the dead husband is to marry the wife
Right.
and let enable her to bear a son, and that son she gives birth to will be in the name of the brother that just died.
Right.
So Onan was the next brother. He went in, slept with the wife, but he now did one thing. He did not impregnate her. He spilled his seed on the ground, and God was angry and killed him. That was it. I was not like, no, 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 no. Hold it. Hold it. Master of the universe,
Yeah.
creator of the whole world. And what is his business with what happens in some corner of the desert in the Middle East? Like, what the hell?
Right.
That's what the video is about. When I saw it, I was like, what's happening? I had to pause the video. And fortunately for me, Dark Matter always puts the Bible passage. So I started reading it. I started replaying it. Like, okay, this guy can be lying. The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. I started reading it. Everything as he did it, as the scripture said, is what he put in his cartoon.
Right.
I was like, what? That night I read it again. I said, no, 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 maybe there's something I'm missing. I read it again. Again.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep. I slept maybe around 3 a.m. That I was just sitting down on the floor, like, really? Is this how? So the next day, I started, my colleagues started asking people to just get their feel on that Genesis 38. Started getting responses that did not just make sense.
Right.
Some people said, whatever happens, God knows why. Some said he did not obey fully, that he should have impregnated her. I'm like, are you blaming the victim here?
Right.
What is really going on? Like everybody, that at least 7 people I asked, they were all their stories. Everybody had different interpretation of that scripture, which was already made me to be like, okay, there's something wrong here. How will people see different things in the same Bible chapter? Dark Matter was now the guiding force through my deconversion journey.
Okay.
The next Bible chapter, by default, as a Christian, you are most likely going to be a misogynist. Meaning you see women as a man like me, I see women as less than me.
Mhm.
And as soon as you see women less than you are automatically going to be homophobic.
Okay.
So I was homophobic
Okay.
right from my secondary school. And the anchor of my homophobia was based on the story of Lot, which was the next video I watched.
All right. Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah.
So when he broke it down, only the story of Lot, the whole mob. Just the part that now struck me was when Lot wanted to sacrifice his two daughters
Right.
for the mob in order to save the so-called angels.
Yeah.
These same angels that had the power to blind them all. Then after the whole, like
Yeah.
that was the first part that like what?
Yeah.
Then the whole part of his daughters making him drunk and sleeping with him so that they can bear children. I was not like, is it their lives don't matter all because she didn't to give like are there no other cities? My question I was like they have different ways they can have children if they want to have children by force. Why do they have to sleep with their father? The another way is in order to absolve the father of being responsible for the issue. They had to make him drunk, So everything was just playing in my head. Like these stories do not make sense. I was just like, what? How did I've read this story when I was young? Like, how did I not see this? How? Like how
Yeah.
how did I not see this?
Yeah.
So, so the next one, dark matter. That's what I see. He really
I think what's interesting here is like what dark matter is doing is, cartoons of very complicated information, right?
Yeah,
Like chapters in Genesis, a story
yeah,
like lots. But he's making it, or he or she, he making it a accessible. Like you can consume it, you can get it
yeah.
immediately. Like the point
Straight up.
that they're making. Yeah.
Yeah. So he condensed it. So the next one, Joshua.
Okay.
Joshua. The slaughter of the Amalekites, the Midianites, every ite that were not Israelites.
Right.
Slaughtering, and the video was very, very tactical in the sense that a pastor was preaching that particular passage about the Amalekites that they were sinners and God will strike them. So if you're a sinner, so it was a futuristic kind of cartoon where a man came from the future and took that pastor to that particular scene and showed him the Israelites coming at his back and now showed him the Amalekites in front, but with his wife and child among the Amalekites.
Ah.
Immediately, he started begging for mercy, which shows that when you are far removed from those stories, your humanity is lost. You do not see exactly what is happening, that this is an invasion and a slaughter and genocide, which is what Joshua is. Joshua is a genocidal maniac.
Yeah.
And I swore that I would never allow anyone in my lineage to be named Joshua. That name is a disgrace to me. That was like the name Joshua seemed like a pride. Because when we're young, we're singing this song, the walls of Jericho fell down flat. Children,
Right.
little children, we don't know we are celebrating genocide.
Yeah.
God.
This is definitely true within the United States as well. A lot of those Bible stories are neutered of the violence and
Mhm.
underneath them. And I always joke about Samson killed 100
Yeah,
Philistines with a
1,000
jawbone,
people.
and
Yeah.
be good boys and girls, right? Like that, it doesn't
Oh,
follow. None of that follows from that story. So
it's
yeah. Yeah.
that it was just a mind. My mind was just messed up. Like these are things we grew up with, and we did not know we are glorifying genocide. Like this, if things that we did today, everybody we look at us with a very terrible eye. Like, how will you tell children this? But the Bible, with its beautiful stories, it was all really. Then I got to slavery. That's when I was just like, okay,
Mm,
okay, I'm done,
right.
because the Israelites were people who went through slavery, and they are the ones that are meant to be championing emancipation of slaves.
Right.
They now ended up being the ones that God was giving recommendation in Exodus 21 on how
Yeah.
to treat their slaves. In Deuteronomy, is it 25? on who they should go and enslave. Then he went on to rape all the rape victim, marrying the person that molested them. You know, just it was just crazy, crazy. My oh God, I was just it was just my playing back, going back to that day. I was just like, how did this survive this long?
Yeah.
How did we be? Because the way we couldn't see this, we couldn't see all this. These are scriptures we read, and I've never that Jesus part was even Jesus part was it was even very easy to discard the New Testament because I found out that the Old Testament is actually the Torah.
Right.
So all the prophecies it could have been written post hoc. They read everything and they created a story that tallies with what is said in Isaiah and whatever, and everybody shouting prophecy, prophecy, prophecy.
Yeah.
So I didn't even bother to stress myself more because right from the beginning, right from the Old Testament is Yahweh. It's the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Right.
So let's not even kid ourselves. And some people when I started talking to some people were trying to like say, okay, it's the Old Testament. But I'm like, Jesus validated the Old Testament in the New Testament now. He did not come to break the law. He came to fulfill it. So Old Testament is validated. That's why the Old Testament comes with your Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the Gideon's Bible, they don't put Old Testament so that they won't scare people away.
Yes. Yeah. People start at the beginning, and that's bad.
Oh, oh God, oh God, oh God. YouTube, as usual, the algorithm will start referring you to other atheist channels. And that's where I got to meet atheist experience, Themin trees, cosmic skeptic, and all of them, the whole ACA,
Yeah.
different, it was just I was just seeing different perspective. And with all this deconversion, I had one last baggage to drop, which was hellfire.
Mm.
The bond I do that hellfire was just still stuck in my head. All
Okay.
liars will go to hell. All those that fall short of this glory well, just different ways to just reinforce hellfire. Until I don't know, I can't remember exactly if it was a YouTube video or a podcast because I started listening to podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that particular video or podcast, the person said that just look at this hellfire. The concept of heaven and hell is nothing more than the carrot and the stick mentality.
Right.
And so, depending on your kind of person, if you are someone that is motivated by incentives, you will aspire to the paradise of heaven. But if you are someone who is stubborn, who is a goat, who doesn't like to to
Yes.
listen,
Yes.
hellfire is there for you to terrorize you into conformity. That was it. So simply broken down. I was not like, oh. He now added that, do you know that it's not only Christianity that has hellfire? I was like, what?
Ha.
Islam has their own hell. Islam.
Yeah.
Islam. That was how when I saw Islam, then they now broke down Pascal's wager. And that was when it was all done for me.
Wow.
Because it is not a 2 horse race. It is a 40,000 horse race.
Yes. Yes.
At least.
Yeah.
Just in Christianity alone, the number of denominations that every other person thinks they are going to. Because I went to a Catholic primary school and I thought Catholics were idol worshippers. Only for
Right.
me to read, only for me to read history and see that the Pentecostals came separated from the Catholics. I'm like, oh wow, this is something they didn't tell us.
So a friend, David Johnson from the Skeptics and Seekers podcast, he always says Christians don't have a problem with atheists. Christians have a problem with each other. Right? They can't agree
They can't
on
agree at
yeah, they
all.
can't agree on, what, and you mentioned earlier, this pastor will say that pastor is a heretic or
Heretic, yeah.
so I find that to be very true, right? Like the Catholic to Protestant, the Pentecostal to Baptist, all of those
Yeah,
arguments, they can't agree with
it's
one another. And it's like, You can't. You don't even have time to come talk to me yet. You have to straighten stuff
No,
out on your end.
for whatever reason, from my experience on being the ranting atheist, when atheists come, Christians assemble, Avengers assemble,
Yes.
straight up, and they
Yeah.
drop their differences to attack the atheists.
That's true. Yeah.
Straight up, even when it's time for bigotry,
Yeah.
all the Abrahamics come together to be bigoted.
Yeah.
Straight up, when it comes to bigotry, they are united. They forget their differences, which is very very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in I'm over the threshold, and now when I've reached that point, and I looked back, it was August. All this I'm telling you, it was like it started from April, May, June, July, August. It was not August. I was over the line, and I looked back, like, oh, I've gone through the conversion, because that when I learned of the term, it was it was sometime in August. I learned about the word deconversion. I was like,
Exactly.
oh,
Yeah. You don't even know what that means. Yeah.
because it's always after you have gone through it,
Yeah.
you now learn that that's what you were going through, the deconstruction, the deconversion, and all that. So that was August. So I was still feeling isolated, because
Yeah.
my parents are pastors. Everybody I know, my friends, everybody, Christians, nominals, serious, everybody just believed in God one way or the other. So even in my office, I'll be doing some arguments, just to see people's response to different things I learned from dark matter, and see that everybody's interpretation of those scriptures are different. So I went online. And first place I visited Twitter. I went to the search, typed atheist, and now I filtered it down to Nigeria. So I started seeing, I was like, oh wow,
Yeah.
there are people here that are fighting Christians and arguing here and there. I'm like, oh, really? So, because of what I've been through, looking back at the state of the country, what my parents had went through, what I went through Covenant University, I was so angry.
Mm.
I'm still angry now, but I'm less
Yeah.
angry than I was then.
Sure.
I like so much anger. So what did I do? I created a burner account on Twitter and just entered and started. Your God is stupid. Your God is this. Just throwing everything, throwing my arms and legs, all those. So I did that for a couple of months throughout this. Then okay, yeah, this August. So August, September, October. There was now. I don't know if you may have heard of it. There was now a protest in Nigeria. NSAS, police brutality.
Okay.
It was a very serious time during October. Like actually Nigerian youth came together to protest police brutality. It was all over, especially in the southern states, because they were just killing young men and women for nothing. But in between, I noticed something. There's this the group that was kind of anchoring the whole event. They call it FEMCO. Even Jack Dorsey kind of endorsed them to kind of so people would donate Bitcoin and all that. They now say we support men, we support women, we support LGBTQ.
Hmm.
Everybody forgot their mission and started attacking that FEMCO. How will you come and support homosexuality? We don't do sort. Like everybody was attacking them. They were forced to delete their tweets. That's when I paused that. I was like, in all this, bigotry is what you people cannot tolerate.
Yeah.
The corruption of the government, the way we treat each other in this country, the police brutality that you're finally standing up to, but is LGBTQ community that is your problem. I was like, no, 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 no. So the process went on, everybody forgot that one, and everybody focused back again. It was now the 20th of October that year. People were killed.
Mm.
People were killed. And that was the day I was just like, nah, 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 nah. So we have I started playing back all all the time where I thought that okay, God is doing something, God is doing no, I'm not like we have always been, I don't know. I don't know if your audience allow me to curse, but we have always
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
effed.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've always been fucked
Yeah.
from the get go.
Yes.
Ah, that's when I knew this country was. I lost on my belief, my faith, my hope of the future. Because looking at this whole religious the mindset, people are not living in reality. That I wasn't living in reality because I believe God will still come. Because even during the prayer, people were busy praying, praying. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah,
what are people praying? It was just yeah. Oh man, that period was very. I think I was this close to sliding into depression, but I was just sad. A
yes,
lot of Nigerian youths were very sad, and I was more sad because I knew nothing will happen. We're in 2022 now. Over a year, nothing has happened.
mm,
Nobody has paid the price for the brutal murder of those Nigerian youths.
wow,
Nigerians like to rain curses on the government. I'm like, if at least one of you's curses should have worked,
yeah, yes,
God will punish you. God will punish your children. You will never
yeah,
be well with you. Meanwhile, these guys are feeding far, they're living long. Yeah. The genocidal maniac called Gowon is still alive. The most one of the terrible presidents we have, Bangida, is still alive. They are all the bad guys. They are still alive. They are living long.
yeah,
Another old man is the current president was a military leader back in the day before I was born. He came back here to come and rule me. Another old man is preparing to enter set. Like terrible people are just walking scot free, and you say your God is doing something in this country. So those were the things that were fueling my anger. So I was just on Twitter, making noise. So, but and I paused like, okay, dude, you are busy doing shit on Twitter. Like, how do you make an impact? So that's where this podcast now came up. I was okay. I used to listen to Gary Vaynerchuk, and one thing he always says: whatever you want to achieve in this life, content, content, content. Content is the only way you can achieve whatever you want to do. So, an apple, I look at all the atheist activists of today. All of them have YouTube channels. They are dropping content. It's only content you can use to reach out to people. If Dark Matter did not drop the content he did, I don't think I'll be where I am today.
right,
So I started thinking, okay, let me do something that will help somebody the way Dark Matter helped me. And then I used to do videos. I usually do videos. I know how to edit videos. So I was thinking, okay, should I do video? But I said, I don't want everybody to know I'm an atheist yet. Too.
right,
But I can't allow this fire to die. So I remember I said, content, content, content. If you're not comfortable on camera, do audio. If you're not comfortable with audio, do the written word. I suck at written word. I can't do a video right now. So let's learn audio. And that's how I started learning how to use Adobe Audition.
okay,
So created the brand, started thinking of a name. That naming was even the problem.
yeah, yeah. It's tough. Yeah,
Sitting down and then looking at all the podcasts I listened to, I now saw the scathing atheist. I'm like, yo, listen to Noah Illusions when he goes on his rant. I'm like, I'm as angry as that guy, but how to gather the words he usually drops. I'm like, I'm not really good at that. But he goes on he calls it a diatribe. So I took the word diatribe, went to the dictionary, started looking for synonyms.
hmm,
For some ways, I just stumbled across the word rant.
yeah,
Hmm. Diatribe, rant, okay. But I said the diatribing atheist. I'm like, well, it's too much explanation.
yeah,
I went to go for the angry atheist, but I'm like, no, no, that's too on the nose. And somebody might, that's too on the nose, and that's too lazy. So I just wrote down different. I wrote I had one list, the tetchy atheists. Like I just wrote different names. I just needed to state my anger and needed to that word atheist needed to be there because we needed to start representing ourselves. I owned that word because that word was scaring me before. Till I understood the meaning of the word that it is just without theism. Atheism. Well, just understanding the meaning of words is so powerful. But ignorance is what's killing us in this country.
yeah.
So when after some weeks went by, it was around November passed by. That's when I was doing that research. So January came the next year. That was 2021. It was around the middle of February. Something just hit. I don't know. I didn't know how it was like rant, their tribe, the ranting atheists. Immediately, I just want to write it.
Yes.
Immediately, I just started, I wrote it down. Okay, the ranting is okay. That's good. That's good. Okay, your Instagram handle, your Twitter handle. Okay, no, started creating a brand. Went to Canva. Just brought up something that just have the A. Then the atheist A. That atheist A. I kind of felt weird. Like, okay, I don't feel. Let me not like join a cult, but because
Yes.
it
Yeah.
feels kind of. But now looking back, I'm like, I understood. I understand why everybody uses that A. So I just chose a different A, but that A must be there. So
Yeah.
I just chose something black and white. Just mocked up something. It doesn't need to be there. Then I started writing down the possible content. At least I need to create 5 topics that I need to work on. Then when I was doing my videos, those my videos that have nothing to do with atheism. Someone said that guy, you need to start a podcast. I'm like, on what exactly?
Yeah.
But I just bought a mic. I bought this mic in January, so that's a birthday gift. So I bought it like birthday gift to myself.
Yes.
So I bought
That's what I
in
do.
January. Yeah. So I just bought it. Okay, yes, when the idea comes. So as soon as the idea came, I started learning audition. That's how the topics, everything started joining down. So I planned that it was just going to be me just talking my mind, maybe 5-10 minutes. It was now as I was making those content, I was connecting with people on Twitter.
Yeah.
So somebody advised me, and he's my first guest, David. He's also David. He now said, "Come, you need to start inviting people. Let them share their story. You can call it story of an atheist." I'm like, okay, that's true, makes sense. I scheduled a meeting with him. Oh yeah, yeah, let's do it over Zoom. Immediately we did it. It made sense. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I started scheduling meetings with different people, and that's how the ranting atheist started moving. Clubhouse came along, created topics, encounter arguments with Christians and all that. So that's how I ended up as the ranting atheist.
I love that story. That's fantastic. I'm curious what your experience is like when you have someone on and they tell their story. It's quite intimate. And like,
Yeah,
I always feel very thankful that somebody's willing to come on and talk and really,
yeah.
tell their story. And I think that's a really cool format. I'm biased though. So
I really love it because it enables me understand that people arrive at atheism from different routes.
right.
Different routes. I've met people that they were started off Muslim, they became Christians, then they became atheists. Some people I met one that she was always raised atheist. I've met some people they went through even far more fundamental experiences than me.
Yeah.
They were so deep in it and came out. So it's different routes, different routes.
And then do you focus on Nigerian atheists or are you expanding beyond that?
Yeah, my main focus is Nigerian atheists
Okay.
because
Yeah.
right now, um, there are no like there are no atheist voices basically in Nigeria.
Okay.
There are two other people that do podcasts. They do it when they can. But my goal with this podcast is to make Nigerians aware of what atheism is, to encourage those who are atheists that think they are going insane that you are not alone,
Mm,
to also encourage those atheists to start creating content, whatever style they prefer, either written, audio, or video.
right.
Because what Hitchens did, the Four Horsemen, however people look at it, what they did was embolden atheists. They stepped out of the light like, we are here, do your worst. And that's what I hope I can do. So I'm open to, I've had some people that are from other African countries, but my target audience is Nigerians because Nigerians don't even know that they are theists. As like they don't understand that they are theists.
Right.
So
Right.
there's a level of ignorance on this religion thing that drives me nuts that I want to reach out to them if possible. But it's atheists that are my target because that's what I usually cause. So that anyone who is not comfortable with my language should just please log out. If you are someone who is already judgmental of my language, please stay away. It's atheists, Nigerian atheists. Although some people have 3 people have reached out to me that my podcast deconverted or helped in that. I was like, wow, okay, that's that's awesome. That was not the plan, but it happened.
So several things. I think you've really laid out why it's important to kind of find a niche that's important to you and
Yeah,
to produce that content. I think that's useful for people who have gone through deconstruction and deconversion. Not everybody's going to want to be in the public, but it helps you in the process of putting that out. And I
yeah,
think, as you mentioned, kind of targeting Nigeria, knowing what information they lack and what they need to know is just amazing. I think that's great.
Yeah.
The Ranting Atheist, thank you so much for being on the podcast. You want to tell us how people can get to your podcast, any blogs, anything else that you want to promote?
Yeah, just the Ranting Atheist is on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube. I'm all over the place. Yeah, the Ranting Atheist.
Awesome. Thank you. Final thoughts on the episode. Well, it's a pretty amazing story the Ranting Atheist has. I don't think we in the United States have any sense of what actual persecution would look like. And the fact that he has to remain anonymous is really significant. I think because in the United States, we are so myopic that we don't think about what it is like for people in other countries. And Nigeria sounds like it's split down the middle between Christians and Muslims, but the worst thing you can be is an atheist. TRA's story is really interesting. I thought it was both talking to CG in the past and TRA for this episode, the influence of Western media on Nigerian Christians in particular. He mentioned things like VBS and not knowing that that was something outside of Nigeria. I found it really fascinating him talking about his parents being upset about Harry Potter, but okay with the concepts of voodoo. When TRA talked about Espiri Kuku, I kept thinking of people who are so spiritually minded that they are no earthly good. We've definitely had those experiences with people like that. Definitely sounds like the Christian university that TRA went to is a painful place to be, the kind of Gestapo checking up on one another and tattling on one another, and then the threat of being thrown out and not getting your degree. I can't imagine trying to live under that pressure. So no wonder TRA came to the conclusion that this was no longer true. I'm also proud of TRA for starting a podcast, having a voice within Nigeria. He's taking some risk to do so. I think it's important for us to normalize atheism, especially in a place where that is not accepted. So you are doing good work. I want to thank the Ranting Atheist for being on the podcast, for telling your story, and for sharing with us what it is like to be an atheist in Nigeria. The secular grace thought of the week is about persecution. For those of us who have grown up within evangelicalism, it is the constant cry of the evangelical of how Christians are being persecuted, how the culture is all against them. And yet when we hear a story of someone who is truly experiencing that, it has a tendency to shock us out of our naivete. My conversation from about a year ago with my friend Bryce, that conversation we had on the podcast, but the conversation that we refer to from 2012 is the first time I really understood, and I was very much a Christian at the time, that atheists do experience persecution, that we are a minority group, that we are a disparaged group. I don't want to compare that to the suffering of other historically disparaged groups, but there's some of that there. There's some truth to that. For those of us who can no longer believe, whether we use the moniker of atheist or not, in religious countries like Nigeria, like the United States, we are a minority and we can have a sense of being on the outside. This is why secular community is so important. I continue to have guests on who talk about community, who are doing work in the community. I just recently had Jeffrey Caldwell on. The next guest will be Megan Crozier, who's doing good work in the deconstruction community. We are trying to bring community for the deconverted in Deconversion Anonymous, and I really encourage you to join us there on Facebook. It is a private Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/deconversion. Please join us. The more that we can do as secular people, whether we're doubting believer or we're a hardcore atheist, is build more community, is build the environment where people feel known, they feel welcomed and connected. That is the major thing that the church and religion in general provides, and it is the thing that is missing most in the secular community. Almost everyone who I interview or talk to mentions the loss of community as one of the hardest parts of deconstruction and deconversion. I'm just encouraging you. We're coming now near to the end of the Omicron wave. Maybe it's time for us to begin looking at ways that we can connect with one another in person. If you are so inspired, start a meetup group. Use meetup.com and create a group. Call it Deconversion Anonymous. Call it whatever you want. But we need to begin to proactively build community. And I want to support you in doing that. And anything I can do to help you to create more community, I will do. As mentioned, Megan Crozier is the upcoming guest. She is pretty amazing. She holds weekly Twitter Spaces, deconstruction communities that are just amazing. The week after that, we'll have Marla Taviano, who has written a book called Unbelieve. And then I just did an interview today with community member Bethany, so look forward to those episodes coming up. Until then, my name is David, and I am trying to be the graceful atheist. Join me and be graceful human beings. Time for the footnotes. The beat is called Waves from Mackay Beats. Links will be in the show notes. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can promote it on your social media. You can subscribe to it in your favorite podcast application, and you can rate and review it on podchaser.com. You can also support the podcast by clicking on the affiliate links for books on gracefulatheist.com. If you have podcast production experience and you would like to participate with the podcast, please get in touch with me. Have you gone through a faith transition and do you need to tell your story? Reach out. If you are a creator or work in the deconstruction, deconversion, or secular humanism spaces and would like to be on the podcast, just ask. If you'd like to financially support the podcast, there's links in the show notes. To find me, you can Google Graceful Atheist. You can Google deconversion. You can Google secular grace. You can send me an email, gracefulatheist@gmail.com, or you can check out the website, gracefulatheist.com. My name is David, and I am trying to be the graceful atheist. Join me and be graceful human beings. This has been the Graceful Atheist Podcast.